Hey everybody, welcome back to The Pressing Matters. I'm Scott. Thank you for tuning in today and thank you for your support. Today I'm going to be talking about an album that I've probably wanted to talk about my whole life, and it's Trower Bridge of Sighs, the second album from the Power Trio that includes Robin Trower on guitar, Reg Isidore on drums, and James Dewar on bass and vocals. This is a group that I played so much in my youth. I know this record like the back of my hand. It is a fan favorite for fans of Robin Trower. It is his most popular album as well. I slightly prefer the follow-up to this, For Earth Below, but both are excellent, excellent albums. I will probably do a full breakdown of the album and the songs and the music and my impressions of that in a Record to Die For video. But today we're going to be talking a little bit about the remix that came out. For the 50th anniversary, they followed up their 50th anniversary of Twice Removed From Yesterday with this. It is an original unedited stereo mix and a second album that is a live recording done at the Record Plant in 1974. Unlike the first 50th anniversary edition of Twice Removed From Yesterday, this is a remix. That was a remaster. When it was first announced, I was very excited that it would be, the information was not clear yet that it was going to be a remix. So I thought, oh, we're finally going to get a modern remaster of this album. But that is not the case. So I will try to explain the differences I heard and my overall impression of this mix. It was really hard to let go of the idea of the original mix. It's, like I said, it's ingrained in my brain. But I did my best to not compare them because they are two different things. I think this could have been better titled as an alternative version of the album, because the things that I notice in this are the basic tracks intact, but flown in different vocal takes, different guitar overdubs, the absence of sound effects, the absence of segues, sort of awkward breakdowns which don't seem to have much purpose. It allows the tracks to go on a little bit longer, and then all of a sudden there is really no ending to the song. It just kind of stops and breaks down. And I thought that was a little odd, like why even bother to do that? It doesn't really offer any more musical insight into the record, so that was something that really I thought was an odd choice. The sound in general is very good. It doesn't have a hi-fi sheen or anything like that. It is pretty much natural sounding, and that's really good. I'm so glad about that. The sound of the live recording, like most live recordings of Robin Trower from this time, is kind of lo-fi. It's not anything that's going to wow you with its sound quality. But the performance on the live recording and the song selection are excellent. And in that regard, it's an essential for Robin Trower fans. The remix, though, is something else. I love the original mix of this album. I love the atmosphere it provides, the segues, the original vocal takes, all are pretty much perfect. And that's why this album is so highly regarded. What they've done here is different than, say, a remix by Steven Wilson or even from Giles Martin, who did the Beatles remixes. In Giles' case, in most cases, he would separate things, recombine them for a better stereo image and placement, and try to increase the overall fidelity in the way he thought best. It still sounds like the original album. Same with Steven Wilson. He will keep the original intent of the album, the same takes and everything pretty much, and just kind of enhance it a bit. So it is still the original album, just given a tweak. Here, it's an alternative version. So you'll hear if you know the album very well, you're going to hear the differences immediately, and I did hear them. I tried to let go of my prejudice for the original album and kind of just enjoy this on its own merit, but it was a little bit difficult, I have to say. It starts out with Day of the Eagle. I'm going to actually refer to some notes because there is quite a bit to go through here. Day of the Eagle is pretty straightforward. It really gave me a good impression that this was going to be kind of a straightforward remix. The one difference I noticed in that track was percussion that was not evident on the original mix. So you hear a tambourine a little bit on the right-hand side and a cowbell on the left-hand side that were not audible on the original mix. The vocal sounds great. It sounds the same. I don't think it's a different vocal, and if it is done pretty much exactly the same by James Stewart. When it shifts to the second part of the song, where it gets slower and very hypnotic and dreamy, there are different guitar overdubs audible and a slightly different feel overall. It's pretty impressive. It is slightly longer, and this is the first thing here that really kind of struck me as not the best choice. It ends abruptly instead of how the original song segues into the next one. On the original, it fades out and then you hear bells and chimes starting the track Bridge of Sighs. Here you don't get the bells and chimes, you don't get the fade out, you get a kind of abrupt ending. And that's kind of a character of this album all the way through. They felt like they wanted to offer a few extra seconds or even a minute of the instrumental end of some of these songs, but there is no real conclusion to the song, so they end in a way that's kind of awkward. So it misses the flow of the original mix in that regard. After you get over the shock of not hearing the bells and chimes and so forth, as Bridge of Sighs opens, you still get the wonderful riff that starts the album. And it's pretty much the same in terms of the guitar sound, but the vocal is a completely different vocal. And this really is interesting to me because I'm a big fan of James Stewart, and I love to hear him sing anything. And if he wants to sing it an alternate way, it's interesting to me. But I have to admit that the vocal take is not as good as it is on the original album. Just an alternative. The solo in the second half of the album is different. Not better, not worse, but you will miss the wind sound that comes on the original album. As that track winds down, there's a wind sound, there's some muttering in the background, all that's gone. So the atmosphere there is a little threadbare after hearing the heavily produced original version. Again, there's another abrupt ending that is just kind of jarring, I think. That leads into In This Place. In This Place is probably the most gorgeous song on the album. A tale of love and loneliness and emptiness, and it's, oh man. To me, this track is worth the whole price of the album, and the reason is because I love James Stewart. I love to hear him sing. So it doesn't matter what he's singing, but in this case, it seems to be the same vocal take, but it is enhanced in a way that it brings it out a little bit more. It's super clear, unlike the original, which is a little bit set back, and you hear a decay on the voice. It's just wonderful. Wonderful to hear him sing like that. And I really like the way that track came out on this. It's one of the best moments on the album for sure. There is some different things going on at the end, some different guitar overdubs, and sort of a climbing guitar part that is not on the original mix, but it's pretty good. It has a bad breakdown, again, just kind of ends without conclusion, just breaks down. So I think this is a weird feature of this, and I'm not sure why they felt like that would be a good choice, but for whatever reason, this is an alternative. So it's they almost seem like demos in a way, heavily produced demos. The Fool in Me ends that side. It's less powerful. The vocal seems to be a bit recessed compared to the original mix. Good bass sound, as there is throughout the whole album. And again, another awkward breakdown. From there, you get the second side, To Rolling Stone. Great track, really bluesy, really extended, and wonderful guitar solos, great vocal, and it's pretty much left untouched. I prefer the original mix sound a little bit. The clapping and shouting that goes on throughout the album on the original is a little recessed. It's kind of just slightly audible. It's a little more audible here, and when the song breaks down and the music stops, you hear that clapping and shouting continuing, and then that track ends. So this is kind of the characteristic of this remix. About to Begin is another beautiful ballad with Jimmy singing. Wonderful, wonderful vocal. It is recessed though, and it's kind of hollow sounding. It's always pleasing to hear him sing for me, but for me this was not quite as good as the original mix. There is a sound that sounds like an organ, but it probably isn't. It's probably some kind of guitar sound. So that is evident towards the end of the song, and you'll notice that we've never heard that before. Lady Love has a different vocal. It's not quite as good as the original vocal take. It's interesting, but if you had to choose, I would definitely choose the original vocal take. It has more percussion, and the guitar is a little different. And the same with the last track, little bit of sympathy. That's really beautiful and powerful, and it sounds quite similar to the original mix. The live recording is a bit lo-fi, as most of Robin Trower's live recordings from this time are. There's really no hi-fi recordings of this period, but the song selection chosen for that is really good. They do Twice Removed from Yesterday, from the original first album, Bridge of Sighs. They do Alethea, this is coming up on For Earth Below, Lady Love, Daydream, which was a beautiful track from the first album, To Rolling Stone, I Can't Wait Much Longer from the first album, Day of the Eagle, Little Bit of Sympathy, and Rock Me Baby. So the material on the live set is really good, and the playing, of course, is great. The sound is okay. The drum sound is pretty poor. It's a lo-fi recording, but an essential. It's finally here for us to hear, and I'm so glad to have that. And that's another reason to get this. Even if you, even with the lo-fi sound, I think it's still an essential document. Overall, I have mixed feelings about this. I think it could have been better. My dream was for one of the noted audiophile companies to do a superb remaster of this album by a noted mastering engineer, pressed at the best plant and presented with the dignity that it deserves. We didn't get that. I don't know if we ever will. The only time an audiophile company touched this was when Mobile Fidelity Sound Lab, the original company, did a CD, a gold CD of it. And that sounds really beautiful. For the original mix, for currently available reissues, the one from 2016 is very good. Of course, UK originals are going to be better. One that I don't recommend for the original mix is this one. This is Friday Music's. It's not so good. The common available on Amazon, which is actually, it's available in my store. The original mix from 2016 is preferred over searching out a Friday Music edition. It is not an audiophile edition. I will have this in my store. I think it'll appeal to hardcore fans of the album and people that just want to hear a little bit different take, a look into the recording studio in a little more raw way. You're not going to get the beauty and hypnotic trance-like feeling of the original album, but you do get some interesting alternatives, and for that it is recommended. Those are my thoughts on the new remix of Bridge of Sighs. Let me know what you think in the comments. Until next time, I'm Scott for The Pressing Matters. Have a great day.